All right. So I was brainstorming some ideas for different lick videos to do, and it dawned on me that I still haven't done a lick yet that demonstrates how to mix chord voicings with single notes. And I thought this would be a perfect way to introduce some people to Ed Bickert. So if you've never heard of Ed Bickert, he's an incredible guitar player who was from Canada, passed away 2 years ago, unfortunately. But he is probably my favorite comper of all time. His single note playing is great too, but I really think that his comping is exceptionally good. He plays a Telecaster and he's just got this beautiful warm sound, and he uses these really lush, just amazing voicings, and he's got all of these really nice inner movements within the chords. So if you haven't checked out Ed Bickert, I would highly recommend it. The first album that I heard him on was a Paul Desmond album, a live album called Like Someone in Love, live in Toronto. And I would highly recommend checking that out, or just type him in on YouTube and see what comes up. This lick is actually from a YouTube clip of him doing You'd Be So Nice to Come Home To. They do it in the key of C minor, and what we're going to be doing is the 2-5-1 to A flat major. So the way that the song works is we hang on C minor for a little bit, and then right here we have that 2-5-1. So if you look at the beginning of the lick, the first two chords are actually a C minor 7 voicing, and the reason why that is because it's like anticipating going into the B flat minor 7 chord. So just don't be confused by that. Those first two chords are intended just to be C minor because it's the chord that precedes where we're going with the B flat minor. So also, we haven't talked about this because we haven't really done chord stuff before. When I do chord stuff like comping and stuff, I always do pick and fingers. So I put my pick on the bottom string, in this case the 4th string, and I put my middle, ring, and pinky on the next 4 strings. And I like to use the nail on my right hand. You can use flesh too if you want. It's just preference to what sound you like. So we start with this C minor 7 voicing. You just bar the 8th fret across the top 4 strings, and you do it twice. And then the next one you do the B flat minor 9 voicing, right? 6, 6, 6, 8. And that comes in on the end of 4. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So now we are on the 2 chord, right? The B flat minor, and he does a minor 9. And right here, this is a great example of how to just take a chord and then get some single note stuff going within the chord. He just does these 3 notes that line up right within the voicing that he was playing. So after you do that, take the pinky off and just play the B flat on the 1st string, and then back to the C with the pinky, and then back to B flat again. So that's one way that you can go about doing it. Just take a voicing that you're comfortable with and just look at it and just see if you can find any spots where there are some moving notes, right? Right, any kind of stuff like that. Just kind of experiment, just mess around with that. So now up to there we have. Right, now right here is like the money part, in my opinion. This makes the entire thing, and this will demonstrate some of those just beautiful inner voicings that he does with his chords. So right here he goes. Now initially, if you look at that in relation to E flat 7, it might look a little confusing. And we've talked about this in so many other videos, but it's coming up again. He's doing the tritone sub 2-5. So quick review. We're doing a 2-5-1 to A flat major. Our 5 chord is E flat 7. If you go a tritone away, that's A7, right? So the tritone sub would be A7. Now, if you pretend that A7 was part of a 2-5, what would be the 2 chord? The 2 chord would be E minor. So the tritone sub 2-5 would be E minor 7, A7, and then you resolve to A flat major. So rather than this, we get this. It gives us a little bit more movement, and it gives us a couple of different kinds of voicings that we can superimpose onto the E flat 7, which gives us a little bit more color. That's how I think of this. Like when I hear him play this chord part right here in particular, it really sticks out to me. It's just so colorful and pretty. So what he's doing here, if you look at the voicing, it's G, B, D, F sharp. So it looks like a G major 7 chord, right? So if you're familiar with your superimpositions, G major 7 is the same as E minor 9, right? So if we look at that tritone sub 2-5, E minor 7, A7, right? This first chord is functioning as just an E minor 9. Now here's where we get those inner movements. So what happens is, after we play that, we take our pointer finger off, make it an open E, and then right here, this D note on the 2nd string is going to go down to C sharp. So the top 2 notes go, right? So that's pretty enough as it is, but then on top of it being over E flat 7 really makes it really interesting sounding. So if we look at that second chord, right, that looks like an A9. Like I said, because we're doing the tritone sub 2/5, E minor 7, A7. So it's E minor 9, A9. So up to that point we have this. Okay, just perfect chordal lick. And then he finishes it off with a couple of single notes and then a couple of dyads. Dyads are two notes played at the same time. So we have, do a little slide from our middle finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string up to the 5th fret. So from B to C, this is where we've resolved to A flat major. So grace note from the flatted 3rd up to the major 3rd. And then pointer finger on E flat, ring finger on F, which is just looks like the 5 and the 6, looks like major pentatonic. Then right here we go. This is really nice. So after I put my ring finger on the F, I move it up 2 frets, and then I just put my pointer finger on B flat on the 1st string. So we have this G to B flat. Then just move it down a half step, and then move it down one more half step. So that's great. That's another great example of some two-note groupings that line up in the key of A flat major, right? Because right here we have the major 7 and the 9 in relation to A flat. Then he just moves it down a half step, moves down another half step, and then we get the 6 and the 1. So that's a good spot where you can do some two-note stuff, and you have that little chromatic opportunity in between, because you can move the same thing down and eventually it goes back to another tonal set of 2 notes, right? So up to there we have 1, 2. Okay, so everything that's going on there, we talked about the B flat minor 9 with the little single note thing thrown in there. Now the tritone sub 2/5, and then a little A flat major pentatonic mixed with these 2-note dyads that are happening starting on the 7 and the 9, down a half step, down another half step to land on the 6 and the 1. Okay, so a lot of good stuff going on there. Let me do it a couple more times. 1, 2. Okay, so a lot of good stuff going on there, and like I said, if you haven't checked him out, I would highly recommend it. He's one of my all-time favorites. Definitely makes my top 5 list of guitar players just from his comping alone. His comping is so good that he'll always be in my top 5 list, I think, just as a default. So that is our episode for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. And as always, if you would like to support the channel, you can do so at patreon.com/MikeGaudetteMusic. Thanks for watching, and I will see you at the next episode. Take care.